On May 16th, we have a Taurus new moon occurring at nearly 26 degrees of Taurus in your chart, with both the sun and the moon also conjunct Mercury in Taurus, bringing our attention to the new approaches, ideas, and solutions we're ready to take to move through our lives. This is actually going to be a reset new moon, and that's because it's occurring here in the late degrees of Taurus, where previously for over a year, we have had Uranus in Taurus shaking up this area of our life in the last degrees of Taurus. And so there could be a sense now that you're ready to start again, that you're assessing what has transpired, that you're looking at all the ways your life has changed and been very unpredictable in these last degrees of Taurus. And this is a new moon to bring in more intentional grounding and simplification into your life now that Uranus is done dramatically and suddenly changing this part of your experience. So this is a Taurus new moon to root in to what you want to create next. What matters to you now? What do you want to build after all of the changes and shocks that Uranus and Taurus brought about? Now you might have some new understandings of what that could look like and what that means, particularly because what Uranus and Taurus previously did in this area of your chart could have brought about some very permanent changes. And so based on what has transpired, what matters to you now? What is essential? What is meaningful? And this is a new moon where you could have some beautiful understandings of what that looks like. There could also be the need here to be more contemplative, to be more self-observational, to assess who you are now at this stage in your life, and to make wise choices based on those self-understandings. The Taurus energy is self-reliant and self-sufficient. It is very determined and strong. It's where you seek security that probably was very hard to come by in the past few years. But now there is a sense of we're beginning again. We're beginning on a new chapter in a new way with a new sense of yourself. And what do you want now? What do you want? That is a big question here of this Taurus new moon. So with Mercury in the picture, your mind is aligning with those ideas and concepts, and you're seeking an understanding of how can it be real? How can it be practical? How much is it going to cost me? What does it take to make it happen? And so these would all be on-time questions to dig into during this Taurus new moon. Now, these three planets in Taurus are ruled by Venus in Gemini, and she's at the end of Gemini here at 27 degrees. And this is where Venus is much more social. She's a social butterfly. She likes to buzz around town and see what's going on. She has a lot of conversations with a lot of people. She doesn't want to be stuck in one place for too long. And this Venus in Gemini is probably having a greater understanding of what she wants in her life on a daily basis that's interesting, that is stimulating, that allows her to keep learning and keep growing. So this energy contributes to the forward momentum that we have been in, especially since April, where the new beginnings that have come through, those new desires or passions or things you've been wanting to create, are going to start to become more real, and you might even have some new perceptions around what you can make next. Now, the other thing that stands out to me during this particular new moon, however, is that Mars in Aries is exactly conjunct Chiron in Aries. And I mean exact, like exact by minute. They are both at 28 degrees, 24 minutes of Aries. And so there is something really important here that we are meant to see in ourselves and how we go after what we want, how we are assertive, confident, and strong, how we are independent and pioneering. And with Mars in his home sign of Aries, he naturally feels prepared and ready to go. This is a Mars who strikes out and goes for it, who's ready to tackle the day, to make moves. He moves quickly, and he wants to make a lot of progress, often in a short amount of time. But when he's conjunct Chiron, Chiron is an elder to Mars. Chiron has more experience and understands more of how things work and what's needed in order to be successful. Chiron also brings in the fact that you don't have to do it all on your own. For all the ways you are perhaps independent and again self-sufficient and ready to tackle and move towards that next part of your life, Mars conjunct Chiron means that Chiron has an important message for Mars. And I feel that part of this Chiron influence comes in a change in self-expectations, comes in a slowdown, comes through something that you're realizing or perhaps even questioning. How much do I really want to move towards this? Is this still who I am? Is this truly aligned with what I want in my life? And this conjunction can bring up some opportunities to slow down and deeply ponder what you are moving towards as Chiron asks some bigger, deeper questions. Now, I also feel that there are some ancient myths associated with this Mars conjunct Chiron. And because it's in Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, also associated with strong masculine exertion, there could be some strong stories coming up around masculine energies, divine masculinity, all of those energies within each of us, regardless of gender or sex, but specifically around what does it mean to be a protector, a provider, a strong man or strong divine masculine energy in the world at this time. There could be some new messages that come about that are evolving the expressions of masculinity. And this could bring up areas of one's psyche and consciousness around how hiding weakness and hiding vulnerability has been expected and has also been a disconnect from your true full essence and your heart space. And we've been talking for a number of years about the ongoing evolution of these times and how we are each evolving individually and collectively into more of who we came here to be in this lifetime. And so this conjunction could bring up your own masculine energies, whatever that means for you based on your gender and sex. It also could bring up where you have felt you had to do it on your own to demonstrate something, to demonstrate your courage, your strength, your bravery. And yet this conjunction with Chiron is digging into any exhaustion from being the warrior always on their own. Wondering, is it okay if I ask for help? Is it acceptable if I need others? Is it going to be something that other people will understand if there's things that I want support with and I don't want to do it on my own? So there's some strong messages here around any hyper independence or over assertion or thinking that you have to do everything on your own, but after a while it takes its toll and you can feel greatly disconnected either from others and or from parts of your true self. And I feel like this Chiron energy is actually an invitation into more of your true self without the excessive Mars, let's call it ego or dominance or demonstration of your own capabilities. And so that would just be something to stay aware of if you're feeling that or sensing that. On a more practical level, Mars conjunct Chiron in Aries could bring about injuries. a crisis, a slowdown, an accident. And so the slowdown is required so that you don't get the speeding ticket, you don't have the accident, you don't, run off the road and topple head over tea kettle and hit your head, and you're not wearing a bike helmet because Aries rules the head. So watch out for head injuries. But there's something here about the slowdown is essential, and it isn't just the physical slowdown, it's the intentional, energetic slowdown that brings you into greater self-awareness, that it's okay to need support and to need others. And that's part of what Chiron in Aries has been bringing our attention to since 2018. And I'm going to have a separate video for you discussing this Chiron in Aries as it moves through the final degrees of Aries, because we've all been on a self-healing journey since 2018 that has been showing you more of where you came from, who you thought you were, who you thought you had to be, and asking you to open up and soften into yourself, soften into more of your heart and your emotional body, soften into more of the trueness of your own essence that removes any excess or any parts of yourself that thought you had to only go it alone. So I'll be discussing that more in another video shortly. But during this particular Taurus new moon, there are invitations here to be more self-aware, to soften into what you really need and desire, to be clearer in what you desire to build and develop next. And I feel that ultimately the Taurus new moon is a reset of what matters to you now and what you're willing to create that aligns with who you are, and it just might surprise you. It just might be something that you're like, I never thought I would choose this, or I would want this, or I would invest in this, but it feels right. It feels solid and strong. So wishing you a beautiful Taurus new moon. As always, I have another video for you here on YouTube going through the chart of this new moon energy that goes into more of the specifics and more of what's going on in the astrological lineup. Please check that out if you haven't already. Otherwise, wishing you a beautiful beginning point here at nearly 26 degrees of Taurus in your chart. And if you would like to share, I'd love to hear anything about your new intentions and what you're being called to develop next. Again, this could be something that surprises you, but that would make sense after all of the changes that Uranus and Taurus brought in this area of your life. So please share below if you'd like. And I look forward to connecting with you in my next video soon.